Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. I'm your host, Tom Dunn, and today we're doing another episode of Citizens Forum. And as always, it's with City Manager Rod Butler. Welcome, Rod.
Yes, hello, Tom.
Good to
be
see
here.
you. You took a vacation since we were together, and
Right.
why don't you let the people know what a vacation for a city manager is like?
Yeah,
Did we let you outside the city limits?
yeah, I actually got out of the city limits, and you never really escape the world of being a city manager. So what I do every year is I make a pilgrimage up to the two cities in Northern California where I was city manager before I returned back to Southern California a few years ago. So, city of Patterson, which is right on the Interstate 5 corridor. Nearest cities would be, well, it would be about 45 minutes south of Stockton and about an hour and 10 minutes south of Sacramento, downtown Sacramento. So I was up there for a few days, kind of checking in with friends I made when I was there and seeing what's going on in that city. And then I headed way up to Crescent City, which was my first city manager job, way up on the north coast of California, northwest corner of California, on the ocean, about 20 minutes south of the Oregon border. So way up there.
So you had to earn your spurs out in the boonies, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you kind of go to those outlying cities and then try to work your way back down south if you're originally from Southern California. So yeah, it was the same thing, just visiting old staff members and friends in Crescent City as well. And that's a good place to be in the summer because they have that kind of Pacific Northwest cooler climate. So at the southern end of Humboldt County, it was 104 or 105 degrees that day. This was late July. By the time I got to the northern end of Humboldt County, so about an hour and a half or 2 hour drive, which is basically Eureka, it was 62 and cloudy. So, 40-degree difference in just a 2 hour drive. And it was nice to be in a cooler area for a few days.
We just did a show about the current problem of the smelly air here, and that will be out very shortly. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, except that we are working with the city and with an independent source and myself in seeing what's really going on at the paper plant and the waste water department, and trying to get some answers for the people. The response has been tremendous on next door Port Hueneme and on Port Hueneme News, and I think that we're starting to get a good system put together and people that know what's going on, and will be able to get us some answers. So there is a separate video on that, and also on this video, on this show at the end, we'll be putting a link where you can go see a video of the current condition of the wastewater plant in Oxnard. Scary to say the least, but that'll help get everybody aware and involved. And we look forward to hearing anything that you have that you experience in this area.
Right.
There's another issue. This started about 3 years ago when the Port of Hueneme decided they were going to use this railroad track. It's called the South Rail, I think, as compared to the one that runs through the base off of Patterson.
Yeah.
And the increase in business is going to be bringing in other types of product they have besides cars and fruit or whatever they bring through. And there are some issues that were brought up by the residents. We had a meeting at Surfside 4, and then the port had another meeting a couple months later. And again, people have written in and have been talking about, is the port going to work on these issues, such as the noise the train makes, the schedule, is there a safety barrier between Miranda Park and the tracks where you have kids, are the walkways over the track and the track itself, have they been worked on?
Right.
And I know that you work with some of the people at the port, and can you just give us an update of what you know about the use of that track and all the other things that I just mentioned?
Sure. So yeah, I think most of our residents know, but I'll just remind folks that may not. The port owns the railroad. They acquired it several years ago. They then hire a private railroad company, Genesee and Wyoming, I think it's called, to manage the operations of the railway. So the city doesn't have a direct ownership interest, but obviously we work closely with the port on any issues that come up around the railroad. And we can, based on these recent concerns that Tom was talking about, I'm actually tomorrow, we're taping this episode on Wednesday, August 22nd. Tomorrow, Thursday, August 23rd, I'm meeting with some staff, high-level staff from the port about a variety of issues. But one of the items on the agenda is some of these rail concerns, because Tom's suggestion was maybe it's time to have another one of those community meetings, neighborhood meetings. And the port has responded well to that, is willing to talk about doing that again. And I may have some information as soon as tomorrow about rough timeline of when that would be scheduled and what the format would be. So, we just kind of communicate back and forth on any concerns that come up regarding the rail line. Again, the key contact over at the port is Donna Lacayo and then Cam Spencer. Those are the two staff people that are most involved in interacting with the public on the rail lines. One of the big issues has been the dreaded train horns that you can hear at different times. It really impacts the neighborhood of those condo communities along Patterson on the north side of town. I'm going to just give you the Reader's Digest version of that, which is there is a process of getting a quiet zone established where you can actually, the trains are allowed not to honk the horns if certain safety measures are in place at the rail crossings. So we're investigating all of that now with the City of Oxnard, City of Fort Hueneme, Port of Hueneme, and most importantly the Navy base, because we think that might be a good way for dealing with the train horn problem. But it's a kind of a long process, kind of a complicated process, and if we can't get everybody on board, including the Navy base, it's probably not worth the investment of time and money that would be needed. So that's one thing, that we are working on right now related to the trains.
When we had the meeting about 3 years ago, everything was, it's in the future, 3 or 4 years, and wow, it's here now. And I forwarded you some emails that people had sent in, and they were pretty up on it. There are state regulations that are supposed to be met before the train can run, and that's what I would like for you to mention and say, give us some feedback. What's the port's plan on addressing those issues that were in the email, and then have another community meeting. I think it's a great communication vehicle, and it lets the people know that the entities that are involved with the city and the city are interested in keeping people informed and doing what needs to be done to keep this a friendly city by the sea.
That's great.
Another thing has come up at the beach. Well, there's two things. One, I'll do the good one first, is we have volleyball nets up there, good ones.
Right.
And I want to thank Don Villafana and Anna Hanley for doing that and getting them up, and they look beautiful and everything. However, that's what my great-granddaughter says. She's done something wrong,
right,
or she sees something on TV that was wrong. One of the nets is hanging like that now.
Oh, no.
I
One
saw
of the new nets?
Yes, one of the new nets. So if you see Don or throw him an email, if he could have his guys check on that every so often.
Sure.
And but they look beautiful, and I would hope somewhere in the next year or so maybe we get another couple, another one down at the other end of the beach. I think there are volleyball tournaments. They bring their own posts and and
Yeah.
nets, and they draw quite a crowd, as does the soccer tournaments.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You want to see something excruciating, go watch them play soccer in the sand.
Yeah, yeah, the
That's,
Copacabana tournament.
oh, that's
It's a
brutal.
pretty big crowd.
And it wasn't this year, and I'm not sure about last year, but the wind was blowing at 30 miles an hour 2 or 3 years ago,
Oh,
and
wow,
they're out
really?
there. Oh, that's when it's really tough.
Man.
Also, I got a couple complaints that there seems to be an increase in some trashy areas around the beach. They sent me some pictures. Excuse me, and around the exterior and places, and then also there were some complaints that, and I don't know how long it lasted, but after one of the food truck nights, that there was stuff, I don't know, the next day or something, but just to, if you could find out what the procedure is, how often they do it. I know it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, and probably half of it is the damn seagulls.
Right.
Taking
Yeah, we're
stuff out of the
actually-
trash and,
Yeah, so Don Villafana, Public Works Director, and then two of his staff people, Fred Camarillo, who oversees the trash and recycling collection, Charles Cable, who's the principal engineer, have been working specifically on that issue of the trash containers at the beach, how do you keep the trash in the containers, and then how do you deal with the seagull issue. And they have come up with some ideas, including a new type of trash container that would be more secure and would be larger. It could handle more capacity. So we're going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks with Don's staff to delve into that idea in more detail and see, that may be a good long-term solution for the beach area, maybe some of our parks, any kind of a high traffic volume area where we have big inflows of trash because of events or visitors. So that'll be something for future broadcasts. We'll be able to tell you more detail about what
Okay.
that's all about and how it's going to work.
I know we talked about this, it's been almost a year ago, in that some of the events that were held there, they do have a contract where they are responsible for the garbage cleanup after their event. And it was an issue a couple years running where they didn't do it. I haven't gotten any feedback from any of the activities that have been going on there lately, so hopefully that is being taken care of. And
Yeah.
part of it was just make more containers available,
Right.
and/or the type of containers where the stuff can't get out in the seagulls.
Yeah.
Because when you have a big event, and even if you put portable waste things out there, the seagulls, this minute they leave, they're out there just throwing it
Yeah.
everywhere. So,
Yeah.
yeah, keep an eye on that. I'm sure is a constant job, and
Sure.
they're doing a good job. The last thing I want to talk about is that we have a list of city people who are going to run for city council.
Yes.
I think, are there 5, I think?
Yeah, so in the November 2018 election, there are 3 seats up. 3 of the 5 city council seats are up in 2018. 2 of our current incumbents, Councilmember John Sharkey and Councilmember Tom Figg, have both made it clear that they are not going to run again in 2018. And the filing period is over now. So we have 5 people running for the 3 available seats. 1 incumbent, Mr. Jim Hensley, is running for another 4-year term. All of our terms are 4 years in Port Hueneme, and we don't have a directly elected mayor. So unlike Oxnard, where you can run directly for the mayor's position, and I think it's a 2-year term in Oxnard. In Port Hueneme, you just run for the city council, and then they rotate the mayor's role every year through the different council members that are on the 5-member council. So Jim Hensley is the 1 incumbent. We then have Laura Hernandez, who's our 1 woman in the race in 2018. We have Mr. Rich Rollins. We have Dan Tullis. And then we have Stephen Gama. So, yeah, 4 guys, 1 woman this time. And that election is Tuesday, November 6th. You have until October 22nd to register to vote. I would encourage you to do it sooner than that, just so you don't get caught in any kind of a last-minute rush. But the official deadline for filing in this election is October 22nd.
I'm sort of happy with the people that have announced that they're going to run. Stephen Gama ran
Yeah.
2 years ago, and he is a big beach advocate, does a lot of work down there, handles the Air Alaska Memorial and keeping the beach clean, and so he's involved with the city. Laura Hernandez is right currently, I think she teaches at one of the colleges around here part-time, and also she was an emergency coordinator for the city or county of Ventura.
Yeah, County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, and so now she is running an emergency, what would be the right word for it?
Yeah, consulting business. She does a lot of training and consulting.
With the police department of Port Hueneme. So
Yeah.
she's been involved there. Uh, Rich Rollins, he's been involved with the city's nonprofit REACH program.
Uh-huh.
He's been very helpful in getting the Miranda Park tennis courts and basketball courts set up. He started pickleball down there, and he did sort of the same thing for years for the city of Santa Monica.
Right.
That's the three of them, and this is strange. Dan Tillis. Dan
Yeah.
Tillis was on Married with Children, if you remember that. Al Bundy in in the
right.
family,
Yeah.
and he was one of the Chicago policemen. And my college roommate was an assistant director on that show
Wow, really?
for 8 years.
Wow.
They were together, and I have played golf with Dan Tillis at River Ridge a couple times.
Wow.
So I know all these people, and
Yeah.
I am planning to do a video interview with each one of them, asking them all the same, about 10 questions about various things and what they know, how long they've been here, what they
Right.
like, what they dislike, what are their ideas, and we'll get that out before the election.
Right.
And so I think it'll be an interesting, and of course, Port Hueneme News will be open to them to, you know, make some statements and whatever. And I think it'll be a lot better for the people here, where before you had to be a subscriber to the Star to get any type of information other than the yard signs. There
Right.
wasn't many ways. So I think this could be very unique, because we can get it out on Nextdoor, also on Port Hueneme News, get it out on Citizens Journal, which is another digital newspaper that serves the whole county. So hopefully there'll be a lot better coverage, and we'll get out
Yeah.
the votes, and hopefully we'll get elected some people who can really help the city move forward.
That's great. I can break some news here as well
Mhm.
that there will be a League of Women Voters Candidates Forum. Right now they're looking at either the last week of September or the first week of October. It'll be here at City Hall in the council chambers, and they haven't picked their date yet, so we will get that out to you and get it to Mr. Dunn so he can get that news out as well. Excuse me, the Save the Hueneme Coast group that was involved in the big debate over the
Mhm.
hotel project, they've also talked about doing their own candidates forum. They won't be endorsing anyone, it'll just be a question and answer session. Again, nothing finalized yet, but we'll try to get the word out on that one as well. So voters will have a couple chances to go to these forums, ask questions, interact with the candidates.
Yeah, we had the community interviews last year with them, and the city hall was packed, standing room only.
Wow.
So people were very, very interested, and I don't know who videos that, who did last year, whether it was the city had their own video or Bob Allen did it, or, we can always do it, and we'll try to get together with Save the Coast and see
Yeah.
that theirs is, video, because the more information you have, and that's been my motivating goal ever since I started all this, is the more information that people have, the better decisions they can make, and it'll make life better for everybody here. So, thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back next month. Thanks.